First convention that I went to.
Yeah.
I was brought in because I was replacing you because you couldn't be there the first time I was called, and I think you were home having a baby. Yeah, and
that's no excuse.
And it was in Anaheim, and I went there, and I was told to show up, you know, go. And it was a Star Trek convention too, so there was a lot of Klingons walking around, and I'm a Trekker, so I thought that was cool. And they said, come in, and you're going to be you're going to go in this back door. And the stage is to your right, so when you get introduced, just go in to your right, do your thing. Intersound had given me some, Harmony Gold had given me some slides to show about the sentiments. And then when you leave, security will escort you out the main doors. What do you mean security? What am I getting security for? I expected 20 kids. And I opened the door, and there's like 300 college students all screaming and hollering and shouting questions at me that I couldn't possibly answer. First time I ever experienced stage fright in my life. And then I got plopped down next to Scotty, next to James Doohan. So now I'm trying not to freak out. I'm trying to appear like a very cool actor, you know. That was when I figured, but when I saw that, I was like, oh my God, this is real. This has an impact.
I got sent out on conventions a little bit earlier, and one of the conventions I went to was in New York City, and it was, I think, a toy fair, yeah, and Malcolm Jamal Warner sat on my lap.
Because you were an inmate.
Yeah, because I was an inmate. And the other
Yes,
we had one of those autograph table things. I don't remember what year that was, but you know, we just signed for like 2.5 hours straight, and it was a long line like this. And we'd ask where people were from, and they said Japan and Australia, and that was the first time I was like, to come here to see us, and that was, I don't know what year that, it was many years ago.
There was another time too in San Francisco. It was another Star Trek Robotech convention, and we were getting as long a line as George Takei, which was really, that was like pretty, you know, enlightening.
For me, it was the first time that we were being briefed about doing a Robotech convention. Carl brought us in, and we were all saying, oh my God, what happens when they ask about this episode, that? And he says, don't worry, they're going to be asking you guys about you. And so I jokingly said, oh, so that means there will be some Zord Prime groupies? And he said, yeah. And I said, I was joking, because I wasn't. And so we're up there signing autographs, and you know, Billy Capizzi's sitting right next to me. And this girl walks up, and she has 2 programs, and she said, will you sign one for me and one for my sister? I said, oh sure, what's your name? And she said, oh, it's not fair you talking to that sexy Zord Prime voice. and so I kind of faded behind Billy Capizzi. I literally not expected anything.
I just wanted to comment on what a different time it was. I see you all out there with your phones and you're shooting all of this. We had none of that. I mean, we weren't even doing pagers, I don't think. I mean, you know, so nobody was out there with Instagrams with a flash taking pictures of any of this. So this is a whole,
My first cell phone was in a bag over my shoulder.
Exactly.
I picked it up as like a receiver, like a regular phone.
Yeah.
Your first phone, Steve, was a candlestick phone.
But I'm just saying, I mean, there was no social media. That you didn't go home and find out how huge this was. The only way you knew was through these kinds of conventions, but you know, it wasn't anything like this. You know, it was a different world. Yep.
Well, let's give a hand to the greatest cast.
Thank you guys for sticking to the show. You're Robotech fans, and let's get them to make some more Robotech. Huh?